Let's talk with someone who's not only making waves on Broadway, he is redefining what stories get told and who gets to tell them, which I think is very important. Brian Anthony Moreland is a visionary creative producer for theater, film, and television whose work has captivated audiences and broken boundaries. He has been named by Ebony Magazine in its Power 100 list and Variety's top 10 on Broadway to watch. And with 2 Tony nominations under his belt, it is clear why he is one of the most important producers around. This season, he's behind one of the most anticipated revivals of Broadway's Othello, where he stands as the only Black lead producer on Broadway right now. From The Wiz to The Piano Lesson to Thoughts of a Colored Man, his projects speak to the power of storytelling, empathy, and artistic excellence. Brian Anthony Moreland is here. Brian, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I got to tell you, I saw Othello and it was good. How do you feel? It's
I feel
good.
great. I feel great. I'm so happy you came. I feel great. This show has been a wonderful experience, top to bottom, backstage, on stage, in the office. Great.
Yeah. Look, it's interesting because we were sitting there and I was, Tim is my husband. We were together. We saw you, right? Weren't you out in didn't I see you and say hello to
Hmm.
you?
Yes.
Yeah. And Tim's like, oh my gosh, because we go to Broadway all the time. And we said, it's not usually this diverse. And we thought it was great. And so you're the only Black lead producer on Broadway. You have Denzel Washington, but I thought it was fascinating how you got, I mean, there's more of an interest. And obviously, when you have diversity, it shows you that diversity is good for business. And, you brought Black folks to the theater, man.
Thanks so much. I believe in Black folks coming to the theater. I think when all people are included, it just makes a better conversation. It's better business. It's better theater. It's a better experience when we have all people of all cultural backgrounds together. We're very, very lucky that Denzel appeals to a wide-based audience culturally,
Yes.
race, religion, gender, all of it, and Jake does as well, top to bottom.
Hmm. Jake Gyllenhaal and Denzel Washington. And it doesn't happen a lot for me when you go to a Broadway play and an actor walks out and they are in their role. And so Jake Gyllenhaal walks out and the crowd goes crazy, right? And
Yeah.
then right, and then Denzel walks out and the crowd goes even crazier. It's almost a standing ovation before they even get a word out of their mouths.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's like the power. You really see the magnitude, their impact of their craft. The audience responds to them like that every single
Mhm.
time, and most of the time, it's even in the darkness when Jake first walks out and they like it's like the silhouette before the light goes up, and people are already applauding, and you see Denzel upstage just walking in the dark, and people start going crazy.
Start going
It's
crazy.
it's amazing. It's
Is it
absolutely amazing.
is it a little thing between them because they sort of broke character a little bit, and Denzel did the little thing with his hand, and then he tapped Jake on the stomach. You know what I mean? So is that like a little thing for them? Do they say who's going to get the biggest applause tonight, or what? How does that?
No, I don't know if they said who's going to get the biggest applause tonight, but there's definitely a lot of love between them, and there's a lot of playfulness between them when they're
Yeah.
when they're up there together. Yeah.
Okay, couple things. First, it is what I find interesting is that you have to get used to the rhythm and the language, right? Because at
Hmm.
first I was like, "What is he saying? I can't understand. What is Jake saying?" And so you have to pay close attention, and then all of a sudden you sort of get used to the rhythm of the language and their sort of vocabulary or vernacular, however you want to say it, and then you start to understand the entire play, right?
Right, 100%.
Did
You
you
have
guys
to
think
get
about
into the
that at
play.
all? When was that an issue, or did that come up like? We have to, we're going to have to enunciate, or I don't know. And I
All
have,
of it. No, you do know. You're right. You're totally right. You have to give the language a chance to like settle on your ears, right?
right.
Because it is a different way of speaking. It's just like when you watch any film that's not in the language your native language. You have to wait and let it just actually settle in. Once it settles in, you can enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Why Othello? Othello, excuse me. Why Othello?
Well, I can tell you, I got a phone call from Denzel Washington, and he said,
Wow.
I want to do Othello. And I said, okay. And I think to myself,
You
when
want to
you
do
think about like,
Othello? Okay.
yeah, and I mean, what are you going to say? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea. No, it was a great idea. Like, I'll even tell you, he was on the set of Gladiator. He was literally on the set of Gladiator, and he was on the dais thing, looking down in the arena, and he puts Connie on the phone, and she says, "It's Othello. He must play Othello." And I said, okay. And he brings the FaceTime back and he says, "Go make it so." And I said, great. So it's literally okay. But I think why Othello? I think it's one of the greatest roles in Shakespeare's canon of male leads. It's the most um revered. I also think it's not done often. It hasn't been on Broadway in over 43 years.
Wow.
1982 was the last version. James Earl Jones was the last person to play that particular role on Broadway, opposite Christopher
Wow.
Plummer. And we don't have great Black actors uh, walking around every single day. Denzel Washington, at 70 years old, played the role in college at 22, and now he's 70. So I think the conversation is really about the wisdom one gets as they get older, and they're able to really bring all of their prowess together and codify it into a moment. And I think that's what we get out of Othello
Can
now
I
with
tell you
Denzel
something?
Washington at 70.
Yeah. I didn't even think about him. That I didn't think about an age when I saw him. I just thought that this is a really great actor. And
Mhm.
when he comes out, you're like, okay, this is a star. You know a star when you see one. You can't say you can't. Sometimes you can't articulate it, but you know it when you see it, right? You know what I'm
You
talking
feel
about?
it.
Yeah,
You
you
feel
feel it.
it.
What I want to say to you is, and don't take offense to this because I think it's a compliment. There's something very simple about the stage, the how you set the setting there, right? Um, about the set, it is beautifully done. You get everything, but there's a simplicity to it that I think is brilliant.
Thank
Did
you.
you guys think is that what you were intending?
100%. So the set was designed by Derek McLean, and Kenny Leon, our director, really wanted to make sure that this experience was all about those thespians and that story. It's
Mm,
about Othello and Iago on the stage. So there's very few props. There are very few costume changes and just those pillars. And so what's on display at the Barrymore Theater is Shakespeare's Othello. It's the words. It's
yeah.
the words, it's the story, and it's those guys. And there's nothing standing in between them and the audience, nothing to convolute the conversation.
I
That's why
mean,
it's so bare.
yeah,
Mhm.
very little props, and I think now correct me if I'm wrong. I think the only time that can I give it away a little bit?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, 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 go
the
ahead.
only prop that I remember, one was the handkerchief or whatever,
Mhm.
the scarf,
Yep.
and which that's how it opens, right? And then
Uh-huh.
the knife, but not
Mhm.
everybody has a knife. But Denzel,
Correct.
because I noticed it, I was like, wait a minute, I have not seen it, and I thought it was amazing that they weren't carrying props, and yet when they just did the gesture, everybody goes, and it's like as if everybody saw a knife that was not there. Amazing.
100% correct.
Yeah.
100% correct. Because people are following that intently to that story. And I think that happens nightly. People gasp at those moments. And I think it's just because they're enthralled with the story.
Yeah, it was fascinating to me. I'm like, wait, there's no knife. Look at you guys, but you got it. Okay, so
And no blood. No knife and no blood.
no blood, but you see it and you feel it, and the
Yeah.
whole time you're sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, Othello, he's yeah, he's gassing you up, man. He's gaslighting you, and you want to just scream out on the stage like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And so,
Yes.
are you seeing more conversations around equity and representation in theater, and are you seeing any progress in that area?
um I think that we've taken a few steps back. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I would love to see more people that look through our that look like us behind the scenes in these offices in the positions, more actual lead producers having conversations with the theater owners and making those deals in those offices to really bring stories of different backgrounds and different actors to the stage. We need it. We need it across the board. It's the only way that we can be a part of America as a whole is to actually make sure that we are all represented at the table with all voices. We just
Well,
have
it's
to grow the table.
yeah, it's kind of what I said before, and really, it's look, Broadway is a business. Let's be honest.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
if you bring more diversity, you put more butts in the seats. That's good
Hmm.
for everybody. It's not only good for the
Hmm.
culture; it's also good for the bottom line.
Right, 100%. It's good for the bottom line across the board. Broadway is a commercial venture. 1 in 10 Broadway shows actually recoup, let alone make a profit. We were able to
Mhm.
do it in 6, and we're going to have 7 weeks of it later on in pure profit. So it really is better for all.
Mhm. You have been behind some really powerful revivals. The Wiz, he's a whiz and he lives in and piano lesson. How do you balance honoring legacy while keeping the work fresh and relevant?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's all about the story that's being told. I think when you take August Wilson's The Piano Lesson, it's a story about generational wealth. You
Hmm.
know, Black people not necessarily having heirlooms to pass down because we haven't had those types of materials in our families for generations to come. And so when this opportunity for that story came to be, in the story about this piano, like, do you sell the piano and get the money and buy land so you can grow your future, or do you hold on to the piano for the emotional sentiment of it? And it's a conversation that inherently inherently it's a conversation that makes sure you're honoring the legacy because the story is clear that Wilson was writing. It was about legacy. And so
Hmm.
I think it's easy to honor legacy of some of these writers if you just listen to the story,
Yeah.
follow the story, and do nothing else differently.
Stand by for a word from our sponsors. Support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from ZBiotics. I have to tell you about this game-changing product that I use before a night out of drinks. With drinks, it's called pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Now, here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's that buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down, and that is what prevents you from having a rough morning after a night of drinking. So just remember to make pre alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you're going to feel your very best tomorrow. I did it recently with a night out with margaritas. Felt great the next morning. So summer is here, which means more opportunities to celebrate the warm weather. Before that backyard barbecue brew, that glass of Pinot, watching the sunset at the beach, or cocktail by the campfire. Don't forget your ZBiotics pre-alcohol. Drink one before drinking and wake up feeling great and ready to take on the next day and all that summer has to offer. Go to zbiotics.com/lemondrops to learn more and get 15% off of your first order when you use lemon drops at checkout. ZBiotics is back with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. So remember, head to zbiotics.com/lemondrops and use the code lemondrops at checkout for 15% off. So when we saw you in the theater, I think it was like in the vestibule, right? When we saw
Hmm.
you, is that do you
Hmm.
go in? Do you sit in the seats?
I do.
Okay,
I do. I'll sit in the last row, usually on
okay.
the last row on an aisle, and I'll slip in and slip out, and then I will pace, and then I will come and watch certain moments that I'm looking to see again and relive again. So yeah, I do. But most
Uh,
of the time, I'm pacing.
yeah, I'm asking that because I'm wondering if you're interacting with the audience and if you ever look around and feel proud. Again, I hate to keep harping on diversity, but I go to a lot of Broadway. I live in New York City, and
Hmm.
it's very rare to see that type of diversity. It's not that you don't see people of color or some diversity on Broadway, but especially when you consider who the actors are, right? Some of the
Hmm.
most amazing theater actors in the theater are of color. But I wonder if you sit there and I wonder if you get feedback and you speak to the folks there. And if you do, what do they say?
I get the greatest joy when the audience applauds for them at the end of the show, simply
Hmm.
because they jump to their feet because of the experience they've had, and I think about what's on that stage, what went into making that, and that brings me joy to know that they enjoyed it and appreciate and honored what was experienced. Audience members come out every time and say, "Wow." They say, "Wow." I've had people come to me and say, "This is my second time here." Some people flew in from Dubai for the weekend just
Wow.
to see the show. I met a family from Chicago that came for the weekend as well. People, they come because Denzel Washington represents more than just a great actor. He represents a symbol of hope. He represents aspiration. He's inspirational to many, many people across the board. And so people have a connection and they want to see him and they
Hmm.
want to experience him. This could be um, not dropping or speaking at a school. It could be his last performance on stage, on stage.
Hmm.
And he has said that many, many times. And so that's you don't want to miss out on something so great in your lifetime to
Hmm.
experience
Hmm.
him.
This is, you go and you see performances and musicals or whatever, and you're just like, okay, this is a show. This is for kind of, this is a tourist thing. Okay, I get it. And that's for Broadway. That you got to pay the bills. But this is a real play. This one is really close to the bone, as you said. You want it to be about those thespians and about those actors. This is like a
Yeah.
real actors play, and it's for people who really love old school, traditional Broadway and great acting
Thank you for
and a
saying
great
that. I wish I
story.
could.
Yeah.
I wish I could just quote you and put you in a paper and plaster you around the world saying that. It is that. It is an
Yeah.
old school Broadway experience. It is an old school play with a modern twist for the audiences today, but it is theater acting at its great to me. Clearly, I have a bias because I'm the producer of it, but I will say as a avid theater goer myself, that's the type of experience I want to have. You walk into a theater, you put your phone down, and you sit in silence for 2.5 hours, and you just get swept away and swept into a story.
I got
Yeah.
to tell you, I had a little bit of anxiety because you took my phone and I forgot my Apple Watch. So I had no way of communicating with anybody for the couple of hours that I was in the theater. So darn you, Brian Anthony Moreland, for that. But it was great. I needed to be taken away into that, and I got completely into it because oftentimes people are, on the phone or it rings or whatever, and it's just annoying. What kind of stories do
Mhm.
you think Broadway needs to make space for?
They need to make stories. They need to make spaces for stories of marginalized people, and I don't mean that in terms of Black people. I mean all groups of people that are marginalized. Right? Gay people, Black people, trans people,
Mhm.
white people, Chinese people, Latin people. Like it's all across the board stories. And I always see people ask me all the time, well, what type of story do you like to produce? And I say, a good story.
Right.
That's
Why
it.
should the
It's
rules
it.
be different for you, right, than anybody else?
Oh, I don't know if we have time to unpack that, but yes, yes. Why should they be different? Why should they be different? But I think that everyone should want to see all stories because it's just interesting. Like I think of when I think of theater, I think of like my TV watching. I watch everything down from a subtitle documentary down to anything on Bravo. So it can be a reality show can have a great story even though it's not about much.
Yeah. So then you have worked, as you said, you said you have a diverse palette, so to speak, a
Hmm.
diverse diet when it comes to your media consumption. So you've worked across theater, film, and TV. What do you got for us?
What do I got for you in terms
I
of
know,
what
I
I
know
should
that's
see?
bad grammar. What do you have coming up? Yeah.
What do I have coming up for you? I just announced the stage adaptation of Disney's Polly, based upon the 1988 film that Keisha Knight Pulliam starred in when she was
Yeah.
fresh as a little girl. It starred Keisha Knight Pulliam and Felicia Rashad. It was directed and choreographed by Debbie Allen. Debbie Allen is returning to direct and choreograph the stage adaptation for the full musical. Lena
Yeah.
Waithe and Michael Benjamin Washington are writing the book. Saida Garrett and Uriah Kwame are doing the music. And so I just announced that yesterday. So I'm very, very excited about that. And next week ish, I'm going to announce another production directed by Debbie Allen. Mhm.
Can you put a brother in something that's just a little role?
You want to come to Broadway and give me 15 weeks? I'll find something. Don't play with
Yes.
my emotions. I will find
Oh
something for
yes,
you.
of course. I'll do it. I will
Okay.
do it. I mean, I just got a text from a friend who who has red hair, who's on the View, who's asking me if I can act because she does plays.
Oh, yes, she does.
Joy
And
does
you should
plays, and
say yes.
she's asking me if I act, and so she wants to put me in a little play. I'm sure it's going to be out in somewhere in Sag Harbor or something. But yeah, I will.
Hmm.
I'll do it. Who knows?
Okay.
She does things here for the public theater, and we'll see. So I would
Okay.
love to do something like that. But look, has anyone ever? I don't know if it's been done before. Has anyone ever done a stage version of Claudine?
I don't think so.
Right? Do you know what I'm
I don't
talking
think
about with
so.
Diane Carroll and
Yes, yes, yes.
we just what's his name?
I,
Is it? It's not James Earl Jones. Yes, James Earl Jones and Diane Carroll.
I don't think so.
That might be good.
Okay. No, I
I got
don't.
you thinking. I got you thinking.
Because I don't. I want to be accurate, but I don't believe that's been done. So now I need to go look that up.
But and that's not necessarily knowledge that you would need to keep on the top of your head. I was just wondering, and if it has, then it has. But if it hasn't, it hasn't. I think it would be a good idea to do it. So I don't know. Do you have any advice for young Black creatives who want to follow in your footsteps and become a producer or a creative in this space? People ask me all the time, like, how, well, Black journalists, what advice do you have for them? So, what do you have for Black producers or creatives?
I think that they're not defined by the color of their skin, and
Hmm.
I think that they should just continue to, as Vice President Harris always says, eat no for breakfast. They should just keep eating that no for breakfast because the no's keep coming, and when the door closes, find the window. When the window closes, find a different door, find the chimney, find some way in. And if you
Yeah.
can't get into theirs, then build your own because once you build your own, then they come.
Yeah. Well, I
Yep.
got to tell you, Brian, I hope you're paying attention to what's going on in the world because this is Shakespeare and drama right now that's playing out right before our very eyes in real time.
100%.
You
100%.
better get
It
on that.
is.
You better get on that. You better get dibs on that because this is, I mean, look at just what happened yesterday. That's Shakespeare. That's almost Othello. It's kind of crazy.
It is. It is. You mean like what the Supreme Court did yesterday?
Well, that, but I mean also the Supreme Court, but I mean Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and they're
Oh yes.
juicy. That would be a good stage production too. Brian Anthony Moreland, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. It
Mm.
really makes a difference in the world, and we need it right now. So thank you so much, sir. Continued success.
Don, thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing in the world because we need that too.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.